Welcome everyone to a special session again, a combination Great Canadian Aftermarket Podcast audio edition presented by Delphi Technologies and a Great Canadian Aftermarket Trade Show virtual event video presentation as well. Today I have with me Paul Reed, the showroom guy, who's going to talk to us about what can actually be done in your workshop area, in your bays with your tool organizing. Now, for folks who are driving or operating heavy machinery, I'm going to ask you to not do this next part, but I'm going to say for everyone else, just close your eyes for a second and picture the way your bay and your tool organizing, your toolboxes look right now as you're working on vehicles at the end of the day. And just think about what it looks like right now. And then tell me whether or not it looks like this. Give me one second as I go back to the top of everything. And does it look anything like this? I'm going to say, for those who aren't on the video, it's a beautiful white on cream toolboxes along one side, a classic 1920s, I think, maybe a little bit later, Ferrari F1 car. So beautiful red, but some LED sort of flat screen displays along the side too. Everything is just beautiful and pristine and shiny. So Paul, this is not exactly what most people will see when they walk into their workshop area, though, is it?
No, no. This is obviously a specialty shop. It's actually out of Europe. One of my suppliers, DEA Worky, is responsible for building this showroom. Those are the toolbox that we supply here in Canada for them. We distribute. So yeah, it's not your typical, but most shops should look pretty close to this, except for, not so pristine as in few cars. You want more cars than this in there, but
We would hope. I think most shops out there would hope that they have more than one car in a bay of
yeah,
I don't know, 60 or 80 feet long. But
yeah,
it's talking about more than one car. I mean, this is again, this is a motorsport shop,
yeah.
but it's pretty efficient looking. I mean, they've got four cars in here, uh, and again, I know folks out there who work on everybody's daily drivers be like, yeah, well, those race cars. Race cars don't get dirty. Well, I don't know
Yeah.
if that's entirely true, but what do you see when you look at this design where you've got there's four cars and four bays. There's a kind of wraparound counter at one end, and a real sense that there's a flow of work here for me anyway.
Yeah. This is I have the actual design of this floor, like the floor plan for this one, well thought out. Put in the cars efficiently, exiting the shop efficiently. Everything's where it needs to be. So it doesn't matter how big or small it is, as long as it's efficient. That's where productivity becomes, and that's how profits are made. It's I've always said, it can have the smallest shop in the world, but as long as it's efficient, it can be profitable. And
Right.
that's what this is. This is just done well.
And that's kind of the key too. So now, I'm just going to, again, for folks who are on the video, and I recommend that even if you're hearing this on the audio podcast, to go back and look at the video presentation either at indiegarage.ca or jobbernation.ca in the Great Canadian Aftermarket Trade Show pages there. We'll also have it up on our YouTube channels, but I'm going to work out a way to make sure I also include this PowerPoint that slides as well, so people can review that and have that at hand as well. But getting into
Yeah.
kind of the real world, where people actually work on cars that look like something you might see on the road. Just I'm looking at this and we're seeing a nice like a parts counter bay
Yeah.
here, a pass through. We have a couple of work centers with toolboxes, both vertical as well as pull out drawers, and a work kind of work surfaces. and a couple of lifts also, four-post lifts here that um, now, this is talk a little bit about what the kind of goal is here with this one, and why, what lessons we can get from this particular design.
Yeah, in this one we designed it where I wanted the parts room very close to the technicians, so they didn't have to go into a separate room. And this would be like at a retail store, or I should say like a car dealer or an automotive facility where they have a retail counter on one side, and this would be the parts counter for the technicians only. So they come up, it's open, they can see what they need, grab everything quickly, and go back to their bake as efficiently as possible. And then that hallway is actually leading to the service manager and parts manager, one on the right, one on the left. So all management's close by if they need to get into the shop and assist or evaluate something on a vehicle. And then technicians, obviously, we like doing white because it's nice and clean. It can be kept. You always know it's clean because if it's not, it'll show. The technician can wipe it down. Lighting on the benches, we use stainless steel tops. The cabinets on each side or hold clothing or any kind of tools, specialty tools they need to have testing, any testing equipment. And then the drawers, obviously, for tools. All our drawers are rated 400 pounds, so you can really load them up for your equipment or heavy tools. So yeah, just keeping it very efficient. So technician pulls into the bay, his toolbox is within so many feet, usually less than 9 feet away from him. Usually 6 is a key number we want to keep. So it's a few steps, 2 paces, he's there. And always, obviously, lighting's a big thing for efficiency. It's always got to be lit up well. So when he opens that drawer, he can, if he's efficient on organizing his tools, he'll know where his stuff is. But sometimes they're in a haste. They throw them in. The next day they come in, get on the next job, or during the day they'll get mismatched. So lighting's a big thing. So want to either have lighting close to the toolbox that can swing out over top, or in the rafters like these are just over the top of the toolbox. So they open the drawer and they can see inside it quickly.
Right, right. Well, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, just going on to the next slide. I mean, this is one of the other things I'm noticing here, of course, is the flooring. Now, I don't know if that's part of what you work on, but I'm starting to see more and more of special coated, special surfaces on the floors. This looks
Yeah.
like a non-slip type rubberized surface, as opposed to old concrete and lots of
Yeah.
oil
Yeah.
coatings.
So, yeah. The epoxies have come a long way where they're a lot more grippy with, flakes added into them, but they still will pop. The epoxy is never perfect. We do quite a bit of it, but again, you have to have someone experienced. Our person has 35 years experience laying epoxy down, so he knows what he has to do and all the prep work. In this image, this is a flexible PVC flooring we distribute for a company. It's all made in Europe, brought over into US and then into Canada. They're 2x2 squares. The thinnest one is 4 mil, and it weighs about 5 pounds per tile. So once you lay out a couple hundred tiles, it's not going anywhere. And if you damage one, it's got a 25-year wear warranty on it. And if you damage one, just pop it out, replace it. So they're really good, and they're not fully slip proof, because if you spill oil on anything, it's gonna be like ice. But in this case, they're better than a slippery concrete floor or epoxy with oil on it.
Right, right. And this is a little bit more on the traditional kind of red toolbox red, design. These are some pretty long benches, though. Now, I guess, if in some of these bays that we're looking at here, admittedly, they're big open spaces, and that's not always the case with a lot of independent service businesses that are fighting for space all the time, and kind of legacy layouts too, right?
Yeah.
But the one thing I notice on this is that it does have quite a bit of long bench service space, and I think about the bays that I've been in over the years. They have sort of 6 feet maybe of a
Yeah.
kind of a surface work area for that a bunch of guys kind of share, and
Yeah.
what's the real
This one,
being able to free up space like this, and how do you do it in a kind of limited space? Is it just mindset to some extent, or
Yeah, you've got to, we always look at what space we have to work with, obviously. Not a lot, this shop was, I forget where it's in Ontario. It was a Tirecraft store that we designed. Um, and that was their facility. That was their shop. So if, this was a presentation, a design I did for them, if we gutted it and went back to where it should have been originally built, 30 years ago when they weren't thinking this way.
right?
But those benches are long, but the cabinets, 60-inch cabinets underneath each counter, actually you can pull those out and roll them away and
Right.
then put them back in after.
Right.
So it's,
I think
the technician
I
would
think here
roll it.
we have, yes, one of these. So I guess that's
Yeah,
one other, was going to be my next question about it, which is, so you've got these beautiful, um, long displays with great
yeah,
counters, but they're not always right next to where somebody's going to be working, and so they're not tied to that wall-mounted installed
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
toolboxes, right?
Yeah, this can be pulled into any bay or next to a car. If the technician is doing, when they get into the maintenance of a vehicle, if they're into the heavier maintenance on a 48,000 kilometer service or 96 when you used to manage Acura stores, those were our heavy, 3, 4 hour jobs. So you can bring that box close by so you have all your tools relatively, quick and handy. And then obviously that's where the efficiency part comes in. The less steps they take, more efficient it is for the technician, and profits, obviously at $120 an hour, the profits add up pretty quick when you can save 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. You know, doesn't take long.
Right, right. Yeah, I know that many years ago, someone referred to me that walk to not so much the tools, but to the service information, which now is more
Yeah,
on laptops and whatnot. But that
yeah,
walk to that other section was worth up to something like 17 minutes, like an hour of going
yeah,
back and forth, and
yeah,
I called it the walk of death, and what was dying was the efficiency and profitability, right? So
yeah, yeah. And we've, I bring that up to a lot of, owners, because I lived that world for most of my life, and as service manager and sales management, is that, the walk of death also is a parts department. They'll, as they walk down, especially on a Monday, they'll tell everybody, 2 or 3 people on the way, what they did in the weekend, get to the parts counter, talk about what they did in the weekend, and finally get their part on the way back, talk another 2 or 3 people. So there's your 15, 17 minutes right away that's lost. So that really eats into your profit, and then, the technician's got a allotted amount of time, especially on, Hondas and Acuras. The job pays X amount of dollars, or I should say hours, and it's billable hours.
right, right, right. So we're here now. This is a tire store, right?
This was yeah, this is a tire store. Again, this is just a design we did for a company in Montreal. It was a Unipreneur.
New, yeah, again, I guess the idea that you can have, um, really. Close proximity for the technicians to get their tools and diagnostic cables, wires, all of that stuff that and then being able to reel that out. That's what when I see this one here, what I think also is I see scan tools and things and like that sitting on the top surface instead of
Yeah,
balanced in the engine bay.
yeah,
And the different connectors and whatnot that you need to do a lot of the diagnostics. I mean, we just had a scope session with our other one of our other contributors, Dean Law, and
yeah,
again, they had to make accommodations for us with the video, but notwithstanding that, to be able to wheel over your things and not have to worry about dropping bits into the engine bays because you've got a mobile surface to bring right by your vehicle is really something to be
yeah,
considered, right? So,
yeah, yeah. And if you go back to the other image, you'll see the where there's cabinets and stuff on the bottom lower half.
which one?
The white, most of them have the cabinets, but
Yeah.
the next one over the white, yeah, that one. So see the cabinets underneath.
Yes.
Those, a lot of times now they're housing your oil guns, your air. Everything's tucked away now. It's not tripping on it if it's not being used.
Right.
rather than have reels above you. We put them into the cabinets now. We're using windshield washer fluid, oil dispensing, and all the dispensing units go into the cabinetry now.
Right, right. Now, obviously there are some real functional benefits to being able to have, again, we talked about the proximity and the organizing, and you did touch a little bit on, well, they look good too.
Yeah,
How important is that? I mean, I see there's kind of two things. One, for me anyway, it's like, well, there's definitely not that we allow customers into the bays on a regular basis anymore
no,
for all kinds of reasons that are very good. Um, but also, the techs that are working there. I mean, first on the customer basis. I mean, how important is this kind of an approach, whether or not it's exactly the built-in approach, but generally having taking a uh, I don't know, an aesthetic view, or looking at the aesthetics of a bay from a customer standpoint. I mean, how
yeah,
does that play out?
yeah. My thought is you've got to have your shop look as professional as you are, as the service you provide. So if it doesn't look professional, most people may not even give the opportunity to work on their vehicle. And let's face it, with financing today, no one's really driving anything old anymore unless it's a classic and its value has gone tenfold. But no one's really driving anything old anymore. It's the financing so well that everybody drives new, so they're hopefully bringing them back to the dealers or the shops in the area to service them. And you want to look as professional as the service you provide. So if your shop really looks bad, and you could be the best technician in the planet, it just doesn't look that what the customer won't give you that opportunity to prove that to them because your shop looks like a mess. So what's my car going to look like when you're done with it?
Right, right. I mean, that's really, from the independent service provider, aspect. I mean, increasingly, because of some of the capacity issues actually at the dealer
Yeah,
networks. I mean, that's your competitor, right? Not the other guy down the
yeah,
road. So you need to look, yeah, you're not just, am I tidier and cleaner than the other independent, but am I tidier and cleaner or as clean or competitive looking as the car dealer that the maybe car owner has been at, but can't get an appointment, which
yeah,
is the issue, right? They just can't get appointments
yeah.
for a reasonable amount of time, and so they come down and they say, hey, I need an oil change, or I need this other work, or I'm due for this service. Uh, want them to have confidence, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we 99% of our business is the independent owner that we take care of, design stores for them, probably 200 plus stores now in 10 years. Um, and so we're always pushing that to them that, a lot of guys say, oh, I have no competition, but you always have competition, even if it's not a mindset. And the dealers going after your business as much as they can because they need to. They need to go after everybody they can. So I'm trying to we try and get our independents to look as professional as a dealer is. You don't have to spend millions of dollars like they do in facilities. We'll just make sure your shop's clean, well organized, so the cars come in. You're not wasting valuable hours on lost profits, but also customers' time. You're going to waste customers' time because they'll find someone to take care of them better.
Right, right. And one of the other aspects, and we've talked about this in regard to other facilities at the jobber level, and also at the shops too, is what this means for your staff too. I mean, they're the ones, they spend more
Oh
time
yeah,
in the bay than anybody. Customers are not,
yeah.
so maybe talk a little bit about impacts that you've been able to see over the years of even a reasonably decent upgrade to the environment, the work environment that the technicians are in, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We started introducing wall graphics and digital displays inside shops 13 years ago now, 12 we'll say actually, and it's just to give more life inside the shop for them, the technician, because let's face it, they're going back and forth toolbox to the car, toolbox car, see the advisor or the shop owner is handing out the work orders and back into the shop. So we want to give them they're there literally for anywhere from 6 to 10 hours a day. So you want to make it as comfortable and as nice as possible for them. And you know, if you give a technician a nice shop and like a clean professional shop, you'll get that much more work out of them, because you know you're showing some respect for your technicians. Let's face it, it's hard to find technicians today. People are giving big bonuses for technicians, and you need to really, you know, make it as perfect as possible for them. It's the environment they're working in.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this and I think, who wouldn't be happy to, to come to work in a space that looks like this. Again, the design from the
Hard to.
there, as opposed to what why what my workspace looks like. My own personal one, which is, of course, 30 years worth of more than that of tools, and every tool hunt is, or every job is a tool hunt, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I wouldn't want to inflict that on anybody. And as again,
yeah,
full disclosure, not a professional technician here. Um,
yeah,
and there are many reasons that the world should be happy that's the case.
yeah,
Um, but and you said, it's tough to get technicians.
yeah,
Well, I'm thinking for somebody who's maybe younger and has an eye toward. I mean, yes, the EV market is really not very big just yet, but is
yeah,
thinking about those cleaner kind of feeling vehicles, and then to look at potential employer um, that has a bay and work area that looks like this, clean,
yeah,
clean lines, organized, professional, as opposed to something that might be more haphazard and old and kind of grouty looking around the edges. Um,
yeah,
and again, full respect for all those who are trying to make a go of everything, whatever your
oh yeah,
facility
for
is. We know
sure.
you didn't always make it that way, but there's
Yeah,
legacies. Um, uh, but you can see how this can be like an advantage to a shop looking to attract new technicians and keep them, right?
oh for sure. If you know, if I was a technician, I walked into a shop looked like this, or I walked into a shop that most of the, no, I shouldn't say most, but 40-50% of the shops I walk into that look disarray and they're unprofessional. If I'm a professional technician, I want to be in the professional looking shop. So it, you know, reflects the brand I am.
Yeah.
And that, the technician's going to go with, you know, we'll say, you know, for the professional looking shop way before he's going to walk into the mess.
Yeah, right. I mean, and just it works on all sorts of, and just I'm just going to kind of make a rather large leap of kind of umbrella faith here. Also,
Yeah,
that it is something that we very much uh, with the concerns over image and attracting employees and staff and professionals into the automotive aftermarket, to be able to have a proliferation of shops that look like these shops is really
yeah,
from an industry standpoint a big benefit.
yeah,
Even again for professionals working perhaps in outside sales positions, going in, working for this for suppliers or jobbers, who have to call on shops as part of their responsibilities to be able to go
yeah,
in and say, oh, you know what, this is these are great to go into.
yeah,
I'm thinking on two sides. One, being able to attract young men and women to an
yeah,
industry where these are the bays that you're looking at is really
yeah,
important. And also for those who are already in the business, and this is going to sound maybe a little bit strident, but shops that look like this are going to get visits from reps with opportunities for those shops more readily than a shop that the rep really doesn't want to go into because it's a mess.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so the opportunities will be brought to the shops that look. I guess it's a little bit like, uh, you know, the folks who can get a loan are the ones who don't need a loan. The folks who are doing well and look like they're doing well are going to get
yeah,
more and more opportunities
yes,
for
yeah.
because of
And I agree there. No, I'll tell you a quick story how when I was at ND8 about 10 years ago, um, when we were just getting into this line of work, I heard a story that this all started by Roger Penske, that when he was building a new dealership, he didn't want the technicians rolling in their old toolboxes with stickers all over them. So he had, I think it was Lista, build him a whole shop and did it in bright yellow and said to just put your tools in. And that's what they did. So then that just started the whole ball rolling. If he wanted everything looking professional, building a $50 million store, I'm not going to have crappy old toolboxes. So he paid for all the toolboxes, had them all installed, and all you own is your tools.
Right, right. Yeah, you know what? That doesn't surprise me. It might be apocryphal, but it's certainly on brand for Penske. You know, of course, now what is it? 19 Indy 500s they've won, I think, as of just a few days ago. Um,
Yeah,
and you know, so I don't think anybody can argue with their business approach. They've been very successful and
yeah,
you know, impeccable approach to
yeah,
everything they present, right?
yeah, yeah.
And
They're very, very professional.
yeah.
Another quick story is he walked into one time, they had just laid down, I think it was 30,000 square feet of marble in one of his showrooms, and it wasn't exactly what they had thought it was going to look like. So he had it all torn out and redone. You know,
Right. Okay.
so that's after you're very successful.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I don't want to be the contractor there, but it does make the point.
Yeah.
I guess you know. So before we wrap it up here, I guess the $64,000 question to pick one of the old phrases is what's the 64,000? Like, I guess the assumption might be for a lot of shops that look at these things, they're super professional and be like, oh, you know, that's just a big investment. I just could never, you know, kind of make the leap on that. But like,
Yeah.
what is it? How do you, is there a kind of a ballpark that you can kind of
It
provide something
depend, again,
that makes sense? So,
yeah, depending on size, but um, I love crunching numbers for the shops. And I'd crunched numbers for one shop. It was actually the efficiency that a toolbox that was going to like properly set up system like this one with proper lighting. And this system has lighting underneath the front lip where you open a drawer, you can see right in. Just saving so many minutes per technician, 5.5 work orders a day. You know, it was going to basically be free, the money he would save on profitability. And these units are top quality. Whether they're we do two units, one from DEA Worky out of Italy and one out of Montreal, Quebec, called AGF. We distribute their products. Both professional, but probably I would say probably 40% cheaper than a Snap-on toolbox.
oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, because we did. If you look at that white section, the first white section that has the two 60-inch drawers underneath,
Hmm.
we did two cabinets, one in each end with a 60-inch drawer, cabinets above, stainless steel back, stainless steel countertop. That was cheaper than a 6-foot roller from Snap-on by $4,000.
Oh wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
for those who think it looks really expensive, I mean, certainly there's an investment here.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but
Yeah. And
but
we finance them. We finance all this too.
right. Okay. So there you go. So there's some opportunities here. I mean, obviously, you know, listeners, watchers, viewers, readers, are all welcome to seek their own solutions. Um, you know, we have, of course, you know, Paul Reed here, the showroom guy. We've got his contact information. If you're listening on the podcast, we'll certainly put it in the show notes and anywhere else. If you want to ask Paul some more questions about what it might mean for your shop and how to put it in place. But it's certainly worth considering to provide a really, frankly, clean, healthy, um, professional, efficient, effective workspace that you know starts with how you organize your tools, but goes beyond that as well, and can really pay some dividends both in like efficiency of the techs working as well as in your ability to you know provide confidence to your customer base and as we talked about prospective new employees of the business. So win 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 all round, right, Paul?
For sure. Nothing but winning.
Nothing but winning. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. We're going to wrap it up here. Before I go, though, I want to urge everyone in the automotive aftermarket in Canada to visit righttorepair.ca. If you are able, become a grassroots champion to move it forward with your local members of parliament. Super important initiative. There are some bills moving through Canada's parliament now. We want to make sure that they get through the way they need, and that the needs and interests of the automotive aftermarket in Canada are heard, both at the top end in Ottawa, as well as when those MPs are visiting their constituents through the summer months. Lots of talking points on at righttorepair.ca, a way to go about talking to your elected officials and making the case for the automotive aftermarket. Take a few minutes, check it out, righttorepair.ca, and we'll all catch you next time on the Great Canadian Aftermarket podcast, as well as stay tuned at the Great Canadian Aftermarket Trade Show virtual events for the virtual exhibits, as well as the on-demand sessions like this one. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Andrew.